Well, I will just go ahead and introduce. And I think that, later people may watch this as well. So, hello, everyone. I am here. My name is Lulu. I am our fundraising coordinator. I am very grateful and to be privileged with you today. Since I have joined MPT, I've met so many wonderful people and found out that MPT is not just an organization. MPT brings people together as a community, a family, and a team, all working together for a more just world. As you all know, today is Giving Tuesday. This is our first year doing a Giving Tuesday event, and we could not be happier. We are at $1,315 of our $5,000 goal. If we reach $5,000, we'll be able to provide 20 scholarships for students to be trained in nonviolence. We would love it if those of you who will join us today or watch our recording will consider making a donation. Donations can be made through the link in the chat or through Facebook. This morning, I'm being joined by Peter Dougherty. For those of you who don't know, Peter was a priest of the Diocese of Lansing, Michigan, who got special permission from the bishop to work solely on peace and justice issues. He was a co-founder of the Covenant for Peace, Great Lakes Lake Community, and Michigan Faith and Resistance, all focused on nonviolent peacemaking. He co-founded Meta Peace Team in 1993 and has led nonviolent skills training and preparation for international and domestic peace teams, disarmament and anti-war action, anti-apartheid activity, labor strikes, and given numerous presentations on the work of peace. He has been on nonviolent violence reduction teams in the West Bank and Gaza, Iraq, Bosnia, Haiti, Chiapas, Mexico, as well as in Michigan and beyond. His peace work has often landed him in jail for civil resistance actions, primarily against the madness of nuclear weapons. He was also the winner of the 2009 Jamnalal Bajaj International Awards for promoting Gandhian values outside of India. Hey, Peter, you can come on in.
Hello, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
While we get started, I'm going to start with my question. What advice would you give to young activists just starting to work for justice, Peter?
Good question. Question would be aware of your own thought and passion. Are you just curious at this point, or do you already have a passion for justice and maybe a specific issue? So first thing is sorting through where your heart is leading you. Open yourself up to where your heart, the spirit, is leading you in terms of getting involved. So if you have issues in mind, you start looking at those issues. If you already have one or two key issues, you can be talking to people who are involved in the issue. You can join webinars. You can read on the topic and learn more about the issue or a couple of issues. And you can end up joining a group that's working on a specific issue that you think that's where your heart's leading you. You don't want to just be on your own. The big thing, like MPT, as Lulu was saying, in this time of so much division and fear and rage and enmity, suspicion, it's great to be part of a group that is a family, because there's a common commitment to not just the issue out there, but how you work together. What group is doing the work of the issue you think you're interested in? Check in with that group. You might end up becoming part of that group. You can try it out. If that's not it, fine. Hey, nice being at a couple meetings, but that's not it. And you keep searching till you find where you belong, because you end up with a commitment. This is what I am supposed to be doing. That's the commitment you want to grow within yourself. And realizing it's when you jump in, it's not only about out there, what you're going to do, it's also about your own transformation. Because when you are trying to be helpful, you end up helping yourself and growing yourself. In fact, that's what love is and what love does. If you're trying to be helpful to a person or group or whatever, it's not that you're a helper and they're the helpee. You end up walking with the people in solidarity. They're changing you as you're also assisting them.
Wow. Wonderful. That is an awesome answer. I know we got some people joining, but while we do that, I had another question written up as well of when did you first know that nonviolence was effective, an effective form of change?
Oh, good question. See, I got caught up in this whole peace thing. I became a campus minister at Eastern Michigan University, the presence of the Catholic Church for the campus. We had a chapel and events and so on. And I got turned in my head because that's when I first realized I'm here and I'm supposed to be kind of counseling students, and they're demonstrating against the Vietnam War at the time. I didn't really know much about it. So I and some others did some quick learning together. We jumped in to a program, macro analysis, of learning about different issues as quickly as we can. Issues of injustice and the striving for justice. And so I began to understand about systemic violence and how deep it is and how we're all enmeshed in it. Racism, sexism, homophobia, militarism, they are the enemy, etc. And the rich and the poor, and how the wealthy few are taking more and more of the resources while more are poor. Learning all of that, it was at that time also that, boom, I'm suddenly thrust into the Christian nonviolence movement. Met Daniel Berrigan, one of the great people of the anti-war movement in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and others. So that became kind of a focus of the anti-war movement. And hearing of these folks who were involved in nonviolent resistance. Oh, what is this? Pacifism. I learned that I don't like the word pacifist. It sounds like passive. It comes out of the Latin word pax, pacus, passive. But, so I don't use the word pacifist. I use the word nonviolent resistance. So I got hooked up then with folks in the anti-war movement, and some of them were Christians doing that, and learning how they were being nonviolent. Then I got introduced to Gandhi and M.L. King, and I had not been part of the civil rights movement. I wasn't there yet. I hadn't been transformed within yet to really look at that. I was busy in my world. So I understand where people are. They're not where I'm at. I've been there, therefore I can walk in their shoes and understand. And so it was great learning more about nonviolence and then studying it and taking it seriously. So it was early on, I began to realize, I know this stuff works well. We have the whole experience of Gandhi and Jesus' call in the Christian tradition to nonviolence. Oh, okay. I hadn't really thought of it as a principle. No. I was a typical American in many senses at that time. Typical meaning we haven't had our eyes opened yet to looking at our own country, looking at our own maybe religion and its limitations, and its narrowness, and our own ethnic groups, etc. So I got plunged into this, and I got passion quickly. I really got turned on my head. But then that's the beginning. And pretty soon, like on campus there, we ended up making our office sort of the headquarters for the great boycott in Ypsilanti. So people got involved in the boycott of grapes in support of the United Farm Workers who were out in California, picking the fruits and the grapes and so on. And the grape boycott was a national boycott. So I began to learn. We had Richard Chavez come to speak at our place, the brother of Cesar Chavez, the great leader of the United Farm Worker Movement. And so one step after another, I became really convinced of nonviolence. And then 5 of us went out to California for a couple of weeks to be with the farm workers as they were in their strike, and a few of them getting killed by, it was plunging in.
Yeah.
And I saw the violence, and I saw the nonviolent discipline. That deepened my commitment, seeing it, and walking with them for a couple of weeks, and then doing that. So that's how I got going with this stuff.
Wow, that is awesome. That is a really interesting story. Thank you for sharing it, Peter. If people are joining, feel free to add your question into the comments. But until then, I think I have another question for you, Peter. You are a priest, and
oh yeah, I noticed in your introduction it said he was a priest. No, is.
My
I'm
bad.
still alive. I'm still living, believe it or not.
You're still priesting, if you will. No, my question is, as a priest, but working with MPT, and MPT is not a religious specifically organization. Can you talk a little bit about the interconnectedness of life and that value? And
That's very good.
Religion.
See, good question. So people often see me say, well, what parish do you have, Father? I say planet Earth. No, I don't have an assignment in a church. It was many years ago that I moved from that, in your introduction. I began working on peacemaking full time after I left Eastern Michigan University. So there is in this whole process our own personal transformation, and that's growing up. Transformation means change, and gradually facing the fears we all have, the rage, the prejudices, the addictions, all the stuff that can be an ordinary part of our life. But when we take this stuff seriously, it's not just an issue of, oh yeah, I'm going to stand with those farm workers. We can have people who jump into issues and they are not aware of their prejudice, their sexism, their racism, their dishonesty, their addictiveness. They're not aware. There is the need, and so it's difficult in the peace movement, like in families or like anything. You might have people who have their self-centeredness is all prominent, or whatever, controllingness, or whatever. If we're serious about changing the world, we have to be serious about changing ourselves. Yeah. And so the peace movement, like any movement, is full of self-centered egotists, controllers, etc. And so we have to help each other grow. That helping each other grow means I invite you and I challenge you. The more we get involved in a group, the more we know each other, the more we can seriously take this self-transformation part of it all. Nonviolence is a way of life, not just an issue of or taking on an issue. It's a way of being. And that growth is facing our own fears. Everybody has fears. Say, oh, Joe, I don't know how you could do that. Well, yeah, maybe now you don't. But if you jump in your life to face your fears and you begin to jump in, yeah, everybody has the capacity for courage. First of all, dealing with our own fears, and then moving with the Spirit. So this whole thing of I'm a Catholic priest, how does this fit in? There are some Catholics who believe I ain't acting like a priest. We have people in any group that on the spectrum have varying attitudes about, quote, political things, spiritual things, religious things. Yeah. And for me, it's as we grow with whatever religion or spiritual group we have connected with, if we grow, we learn that the literalness has to change. We have to realize that life is more than rules and regulations, that's not at the heart of it. Or even our definitions of what's God or divine or Allah, or that our human concepts don't grasp their reality. We can define God, but no, as we grow in wisdom, we realize, no, the growing is in not the rational concepts, and I have that, but it's in the learning to open up and to love and to become a part of everyone. I am part of that squirrel eating on the in the backyard where I put nuts. I'm a part of that squirrel. What? Well, yeah, that takes a lifelong journey to come to understand. Native Americans have always had that tradition. They never got caught up in, our Western world's enlightenment with all the good things that came out of that. And we've profited from. There's also the downsides. And one of the downsides is disenchantment with the world, as one put it, Western civilization. We lost that being a part of the earth. And the divine, however you understand such a thing, or higher power. So, I'm urging all Catholics, all Methodists, all Protestants, all Jews, all Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and atheists and agnostics to grow in that sense of being part of the whole world, that's not just a mental concept anymore. It becomes the head in the heart, whereby we have experience of oneness, those peak moments that come, overwhelmed by the awesomeness and beauty and goodness that strike us, and increasing that. So it becomes a way of life. And therefore, no longer are the rules and regulations or the definitions or dogmas, no, those aren't the bottom line. The bottom line is the actual relationship with. And that it's considered a lifelong journey. So, some people don't think I'm a Catholic priest. I understand. I had a relative say to me, Peter, are you still trying to destroy the Catholic Church? Years ago, I would have reacted inside and being very defensive and angry. What do you mean? No. I love my cousin who said that. I love him. And I understand where he's at because I've been there. So that's the thing. I had been there wherever we are in our growth, and people might not be where we are at. Okay? In today's world, there is this dualism. You're either with me and us or against me and us. There's no in between. If you're not where I'm at, you're suspicious of you. Or that's part of the culture. So part of it is helping people to grow through that, moving beyond that. So I am a Catholic priest, and the reality is more real than when I was younger and had the concepts. But, and so it's a matter of growing. Every human being has the capacity to grow to a more whole, mature, or become wise elders. We have 20-year-olds that are wise elders. We have 80-year-olds that just have never grown. They've been so, brutalized inside, or so much PTSD, or so much bitterness, or so much fear, they didn't get healing.
Yeah.
But it's never too late.
Wow.
I'm a late bloomer. I was in midlife before I got turned on my head and began to open up and experience the depth of life that I didn't even really know.
Well, yeah, it's important for all of us to take, as I know, for me at least, sometimes it can be like that.
I remember when I was ordained a priest at age 26. I, at that age, was still wounded out of my own family life.
Oh, well.
And I hadn't gone through a lot of healing yet, but I was ordained a priest. I am the spiritual guide for people 3 times my age. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I had the theology, and and this is the way to be a good Catholic. But the transformation had not actually begun yet when I was 26. Okay, folks, it's never too late. It's never too late. Because, if alcoholics as an example, maybe 50-year-old hits bottom and he or she begins to face it. I mean, that's what the journey is.
Yeah.
Like AA is a good model of a spiritual program. So, okay, whatever leads you to begin to look at life in a new way. Or you're a successful business person and you know how to manage people and control them and get them to do what you want them to do and you manipulate, and etc. But then you hit a midlife crisis and suddenly, what am I doing? What's the meaning of my... Well, that's an opportunity. When people are in crisis, don't stay focused on the negative. And I think in Japanese the word for crisis has the meaning it can be a disaster or an opportunity.
Wow.
So learning that those things that are problematic for us, they're crises, they are also opportunities. Everything is an occasion for growing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then along the way, struggling, but how do you have hope? There's someone saying, when you're in the darkness, remember what you saw when you were in the light. Those times that the reality is still there, even if you're in darkness. And, having hope. Not Pollyanna, not optimism. Oh yeah, things will get better, some vague. No. It's that I see the value of living my life out of real principle. And caring for others has to be at the center of it.
Yeah.
We're not really human if caring about other people doesn't become at the heart of our existence. We haven't yet lived the life worth living. Yeah. And in that, people see the deeper reality of a higher power, an ultimate reality, truth, ultimate love, capital L, however you choose to define it, and maybe not define it, because you can't define the absolute. That love, that spirit that's there. Always want to control it. No, churches, religions want to do that. Control the divine. No, you can't put the divine in your box. Doesn't work. So anyway.
Wonderful. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Peter. I'm going to say that we are going to go from here, but thank you so much for answering those Q&A questions. We really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today. As a reminder, we're working towards raising $5,000 today, which means if you can, share our posts, comments, make a donation, and encourage friends to as well. As a grassroots organization, the only way we can reach our goal is with the help of all of you. Thank you all for joining us, and we will be live again in 3.5 hours. All right, wonderful. Bye, everyone.